You didn't wake up one morning and decided you're not good enough. This developed over time through certain experiences, but most importantly, even as a little girl, you've been failed by the system. So don't feel bad. None of it is your fault. You were set to fail right from the start. And I'm going to show you in this video how the society, media, system trained you to be a good girl. And then I'm going to go into how this actually became your internal voice and how it is actually showing up in your life right now. And I'm going to give you a gentle shift, moving away from the good girl conditioning to become the sovereign woman that you are. And this video is absolutely for you. If somewhere within your heart you have that doubt that I'm not good enough, I don't measure up, I don't look like the others, they can do it, I can't, this video is absolutely for you. Hello, my name is Shay. I'm a traditionally trained psychotherapist and I now coach women who are stuck in self-doubt, procrastination, and I move them from inaction into action. So, to begin with, let's start with Disney. We all grew up watching fairy tales. I remember as a young girl, we had VHS. Even before Blockbusters, we used to go to the VHS shop. For those of you who are much younger, you may not know, but we actually had like big cassette players and we had a device that we used to stick it in, and it was much bigger than a CD. And I used to go and I used to beg my mum, can we please get Cinderella? Can we please get Snow White, Sleeping Beauty? Honestly, I grew up on that stuff. And the chances are you probably did as well. Let's think about what is happening in these stories. A princess grows up, she goes through some troubles, some difficulties, and then she rises to become the queen that she was always meant to be. In the Snow White story, she was actually exiled from the palace by the mean stepmother. And in Cinderella's story, she had mean twin sisters, and then she again had a really mean stepmother. But in the end, it is always happily ever after, where they meet their prince, they move into their beautiful castle, lots of wealth, lots of fruits, lots of jewelry, all good, perfect. You grew up on that shit. I did too. And think about it, what does that do to a young mind? It messes up with your ideas, right? As to what life should be like, what to expect. And then you're going to grow up to be this beautiful queen and you're going to meet Prince Charming and you're going to move into your castle. So if we were to translate this idea into modern woman's life, this might mean something like, I'll go through some struggles and then I'm going to reach a beautiful career and I'm going to meet an amazing person. I'm going to have happily ever after. So you grew up on that, expecting that this is how life would turn out. How many of us genuinely can say that this is what we've experienced? Life has got so much stress, especially if you're living in an urban city. I know there's like unending stress. We're bombarded in our jobs. We're bombarded if you've got a family life, if you've got kids. It's like the demands is just too high. I'm not going to say this isn't what it was like in 100 years ago, because I don't know. I didn't live in that time. I know right now my experience and possibly your experience are quite similar. You're tired, you're exhausted, you're running around, you're doing so much for everyone. You're doing so much all day, every day, that you don't even get a moment just to sit and breathe like, let's just do that together right now. Let's just take a deep breath together because I think it is important. In through our nose, out through our mouth, okay? Let's continue. So, when your experiences did not quite match Snow White's or Cinderella's experience, you kind of ended up feeling a bit cheated, but the system is rigged. You were never going to win growing up with the thoughts and ideas that one day your happily ever after is going to arrive. This is definitely not to say you can't have it. You absolutely can. But what we've been missing, and this is the biggest piece of the puzzle, fairy tales do not happen the way we've been taught. And now let's get to your personal experiences. And then you grow up. Maybe you were lucky. You had some amazing parenting. They were always kind. They were always loving. The truth is, many of us didn't actually grow up in a loving environment because our parents also struggled with their own stresses, with their own life, and that they also had a nervous system that didn't fully allow them to be present at all times. And then you started school. Now you're 7 years old. And what happens next? You start looking at your friends, what they've got, what they look like. At that age, what people looked like becomes really important, especially as you're growing up and you're becoming a teenager. But my friend does. Why do I look like this? And then you have a couple of mean teachers, and then there are a couple of mean students in your classroom, and it starts to grind on you and it starts to knock your self esteem down. Maybe not just because they're doing something, but also partly because you go into that self comparison because you're expecting that fairy tale life, fairy tale ending. And this is around the time you start developing certain ideas about yourself. And those ideas are I am statements and others are statements. So you start saying to yourself by looking at your friends, I am not good enough. I am not valuable. I am not important. And then the next thing is you end up in that place where you feel cheated by life, where all of those ideas becomes your identity. So now you developed an identity based on a fairy tale, and then you went through a certain set of experiences that confirmed that there is something wrong with you. Trust me, I've been there. I'm still there a lot of the time. I didn't come from privilege. I didn't have a fairy tale ending, but I learned some things along my journey that actually made me realize none of this was true. This was all layers upon layers I built upon myself, thinking and making myself believe that there was something wrong with me. And the chances are, if you're watching this, you're probably along the same pathway with me. But this isn't about me, this is about you, because you and I are sharing a very common experience of how we've been brought up in this good girl conditioning. A good girl, a princess growing up, there are certain expectations. And then as you realize that you were never that princess and those expectations are not met, now you end up feeling like there's something wrong with me. It is me. Others can do it, I can't. And this is sad. Many of us live with this idea and thinking that it is us. But actually, it is firstly the system who started to train you in that good girl conditioning. And secondly, your set of experiences brought you to where you are. And how does that show up now in your current, present life? Because you develop these ideas about yourself, I am statements, others are cruel, others are better than me, I am not valuable. These are just set of examples. Yours might look very different, but it is usually the negative beliefs that we developed about ourselves growing up is what is keeping us stuck. And the way it is showing up in your life, more than likely, is something like this. One of the biggest ones is that you procrastinate because you already decided that you're not capable enough or you're not good enough. So you sleep on some tasks. And the thing is, you know you're capable in your heart, but somehow when it comes to kind of get on with the tasks that you plan, whether in your business, whether you've got a project going on, there's just something not getting you in action. And this is what I call a nervous system freeze. So you're frozen, and not on a conscious level, because you realize on a conscious level you are capable, but on an unconscious level your body does not feel safe enough to move. But other ways that this is showing up in your life is you're probably avoiding a lot of things. So it's almost like an internal desire that we have, always to have positive feelings, always to have good emotions, right? We want to feel comfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. But then what happens when you build your life around feeling comfortable, which many of us do? then you miss the opportunities to challenge that belief that told you once upon a time that you're not good enough. And as you avoid challenging that belief, you actually confirm it over and over. I knew I was not good enough. Or you never get to disapprove it because you're not giving yourself the opportunity to actually disprove yourself that you can achieve, you can do these things, and you can be good enough. Another way this is possibly showing up in your life is that you go into people pleasing, which we call fawning. So you probably fawn and you say yes when you actually mean no. You go out of your way to help others just so that they don't dislike you. So, just so that you keep the peace, because this is what you taught your system, that keeping the peace is safe and rocking the boat is dangerous. So, you operate on that and you never give yourself the opportunity to prove yourself otherwise. And I want to tell you a little bit why this is so important for me. I want you to step into the healthy adult version of yourself. And my job is actually for you to recognize some of those early patterns you built that you're not even aware of, but they're running the show on the background. And this is really important for me because if you feel good within yourself, if you trust yourself, if you find your own voice, if you find your own autonomy, there's a knock on effect with that. Your relationships are going to change. If you've got children, your children are going to grow up with a present mother, with a loving mother. So for me, it's not just about you, it is about the knock on effect. Us women needs to get ourselves in a place where we feel safe, where we feel autonomous, so we can make a change. It may not look big at first, but just imagine if you could be that person that you so want to be, successful, confident, can prioritize yourself, but at the same time kind and loving and caring. And if you become this woman, then this is what you're going to teach to your children, to the people around you. So, this is why I really value working with women, because I really want you to get to that place and I want to show you that you can be that person. I have no doubts. So, now I want to finish with a small shift. So, you might be saying, okay, Shay, this is all well and good, but how am I really going to make a change? How am I really going to stop people pleasing? So let's take that as an example because many of us are people pleasers, right? We grew up with that good girl conditioning, so we learned to people please. So this is what you do next time. Next time you find yourself that you want to say no, but you are saying yes, take a deep breath. Now, once you take that deep breath, just say to yourself, I can say no, and I can learn to tolerate the discomfort that comes with it. And that's it. It's all about learning and trusting that you can tolerate this discomfort. And the more you do it, more automatic it's going to become for you. And this isn't just about kind of going around saying no to everyone and everything. No, this is really about you keeping yourself safe and autonomous so that you don't put yourself out, you don't burn yourself out, because there's only one of you. You want to take care of that. You want to take care of it the way you would take care of your most precious thing, whether it's a person, whether it's a bunny, cat, whatever. You want to take care of yourself the same way so that you can show up in your best self at all times when you're ready. Anyway, I hope you find that helpful. This was not scripted. I don't know if you came this far. I didn't ask ChatGPT what to talk about. I just kind of really wanted to talk from my heart. And I just really hope that you gained some value. And if you did, give it a thumbs up and see you in the next video.